Good morning, folks. Early morning walk and talk. I've been going through a lot lately. My mother's got dementia, and she's had a couple of falls, and she's currently in a rehab, but moving to a hospice house tomorrow. She's 91. She's had a good long life, but it's still a lot to go through. And all the signs of end of life that they talk about and that you read about, they're not the same for everybody. What you see is not the same for everybody. I mean, I've watched a lot of people pass because I'm almost 53 years old and I've lost a lot. And I lost my son Dylan in 2019 to suicide, and somehow my mother has almost lived another 6 years past Dylan, and with the dementia and everything that's been going on, I really didn't think she would, but somehow she survived a long time. But the main thing you can do is try to love them in the end, and try to see them as often as you can. But at the same time, you gotta take care of yourself, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to take care of myself. I go for this walk every morning. I've got another son, I've got to be here for, and I've got to maintain the home place. It ain't easy, folks, when dementia takes your parent. You watch them slowly decline over time, and then when they get a UTI, they decline a little more, and then maybe you get them better from that one, and then it happens again, and they decline a little more, and eventually they begin to have falls and more UTIs. And this time my mother had a fall and a UTI and had COVID on top of the UTI. And that's what's going to be the end, is because my mother got a COVID on top of the UTI. It's just too much. Her cardiologist called and had a long word with me, about 30 minutes long on the phone. It was good and kind of him. And he told me most of the time when they're that old and they get COVID on top of a UTI, he said 75% of them don't survive it. And my mother's beat it for about 14 days now, but she's still got a terrible cough, and she's really not eating or drinking, just little bites of food here and there. Of course, she's been only drinking Ensure for about 8 months, and only about 3 of those a day. Of course, for a little lady her size, a little bit over 1,000 calories a day, you go a long time on that. But lately, it's been 1 Ensure a day if we're lucky, since she's been this sick. And I got to tell you, Medicare is not very good. And we're going to have to go to hospice because Medicare won't pay for any more hospital or rehab days. And mother is bedridden. And I'm a heart patient myself. I had heart surgery in 2003 when I was I think I was 32 years old. It might have been 34. Anyway, I was pretty young, and I had aortic stenosis I was born with, and I had a bicuspid aortic valve, which is still there and working okay, but they give me a Gore-Tex aortic arch. And that was along within 2 or 3 days of the time that John Ritter passed away. And he had a similar issue. They did surgery, but he didn't make it. So I can't take care of Mother at home, change diapers and do all that, and still take care of myself. And even if I did, her time would probably be shorter at home than it would in the hospice care that I'm putting her in Little Rock on Bowman Road. That's just a better place. It's a really good place. We've had a lot of friends and family there, and I think it's going to be the best choice. I hope I'm making the right decision to keep Mom comfortable near the end of life. But anyway, I just want to tell y'all what's going on, and I know my channel's growing, and I thank y'all for that. I can't help but think my mother has something to do with my channel growing, because since she's been sick, in spite of me not producing much content, continue to get more subscribers and more interaction. And I can't explain that because I certainly haven't been doing much. But when Mom passes and this time changes, hopefully, since the weather's pretty and it's cooler, can get on with projects and try to get through this and get to a good point in life, because I'm about to be 53, and I think the next 10 years are going to be the most productive 10 years in life that I have left. And I need to, in 10 years I'll be 63. So I need to really make good on the next 10 years. It's just me and my son. I don't really have a significant other, so no girlfriend, so it's probably just going to be me and my son for the foreseeable future, at least for right now. And they've always said I've always heard it said, you either got to get busy living or get busy dying. And when this journey's over with my mother and she passes, I need to get busy living and make everything that I can out of this 30 acres, make it into what I want it to be, at least as much as I can. And I want to tell you, hospice isn't what it used to be. I'm not saying it's not a good place, but it's expensive for families to do hospice, because now it's hard to get inpatient hospice, and you have to pay between $220 and $235 a night. I've actually heard of one place it was $250 a night, and they consider that room and board. And then Medicare, they pay for the nursing and the actual hospice stuff, but you're paying their room and board, and that's about double the price of an expensive motel room, I would say. And when my mother passes, her name is Dollene, Dollene. At some point, I'd like to create a non-profit foundation in my mother's name and get donations from these big car dealers and such, and other big businesses like Home Depot and Lowe's and whatnot, to try to help families who can't afford the room and board for hospice to, be able to get their loved one into hospice and keep them there near the end of their life and keep them comfortable. And you know, I really didn't know there was that big a need for this until now. You know, my dad passed away in a hospice in Bryant, Arkansas. And at that time, in 2016, being inpatient in hospice was not a problem. We had a place here that accepted what Medicare paid, and that was the end of it, and family didn't have to pay room and board. But that's changed, and I really didn't learn that until recently. So maybe I'll be working on that, and you know, I'm gonna have to get some help with that. Probably set up an escrow account for the donations and try to help some people get their loved ones into hospice to make the end of life as comfortable as possible. You know, hospice is really when you're beyond being in a rest home because you're too critical, you're too chronic. I think rest homes are for patients that, you know, have a year more to live, and they're not chronically ill. Now, that's not to say there isn't some chronic people in rest homes, because families don't have a choice. And many families are eligible for Medicaid assistance with being in a retirement home, but we are not. We have too much land, too many assets. Of course, that was all put in a trust long ago, but that doesn't protect it. If it's a revocable trust, which is what we did, so we could change things if we needed to, that doesn't protect it from Medicaid. Or let me reword that. It doesn't make you eligible for Medicaid. You would have to spend your loved one's entire life savings and sell some of their property, particularly if they have property on more than one deed, which Mother does. We should have combined all these deeds into one for this place many, many years ago. But my mother's father left her an acre at another location, so that couldn't have been combined. And we have 3 acres in Perrin, that couldn't have been combined. If you sell any of those other places, you're not going to get what it's worth if you sell it quickly to qualify for Medicaid to help with rest home care. It presents a real challenge, folks. But I'm going to get back on top, and I'm going to get back to making the best of this life. I'm just at a crossroads right now where my mother's about to pass, and I've got to do the best I can and make the best decisions I can. I apologize for the shaky video here. I'm walking, holding the camera here, and you know, I walk every morning real early. I may start doing more what I call walk and talks in the mornings. It's really peaceful out here early in the morning, and I'm usually up before daylight. And I walk this road and my new project here where everything's going to be every day. And that's caused me to be able to sleep more. I wasn't sleeping, but this walking is helping with sleeping. And drinking more water helps with sleeping. But I'll tell you something, I have always drank a lot of water, but I'm drinking more now. You got to take care of yourself to take care of a loved one. Hopefully pretty soon, be over here burning this brush pile and get the old JCB fired back up and get some more dirt on that road and get that culvert in that I've been talking about. I've got this little single axle international dump truck. I'm thinking of switching from my twin screw to the single axle and running a farm tag on it. I've got a better hood for this. I bought this truck for like $2,800 at an auction. Didn't even know if it run. Got home, put batteries in it. It's a DT466 with a 6-speed. It actually runs pretty good, but it needs an overhaul. But that's cheap, like $1,500 for the parts. I'm gonna do that pretty soon. So that'll be coming. That'll be a project on the channel. This is my 95 Cummins dually that I've had for a long time. I bought that truck when it was still nearly new. Drove it 3 years, I guess, and sold it to a friend. And I got my flatbed about that time, my 97. He drove it a little while and he sold it. And those people did a head gasket on it. And they drove it a little while. And then I bought it back. I was at a car auction and seen it come through. And I looked inside the bed of the truck at the car auction. I didn't know it was my truck, but I looked inside the bed of the truck when it come through the car auction. And I noticed over there that it had 2 electrical plugs for, you know, pulling a gooseneck trailer. This truck's still nice inside. Still smells nice. But anyway, I looked in there and I seen that, and then I got looking harder and I said, hey, that's my old truck, so I bought it. Okay, and then this truck here, that's my S10 that I drove for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. Made a lot of trips to Hot Springs in that truck. And it has a blowed intake manifold gasket right now. It's a 4.3. I'm gonna get back on it soon. I've got the gasket kit. And I'm gonna start driving it again, I hope. I really like this little truck. That's a truck that was my son's that died of suicide. And he never really drove that truck. We bought that truck from a friend for him. He was still driving a GMC Jimmy. This truck, all that's wrong with it is the air's not working, which there's a new AC compressor in the floorboard, and the reverse doesn't work. But I've got another transmission. So these 4 projects right here, I've got a few things to do to my dually. Not much though. I mean, yeah, it's got the rust on top of it. I don't care about that. It's just surface rust. I'll touch that up. Or I'll scuff it and clear coat it or something. But I've got these four in a row here that need to be taken care of this winter. And I've got a big water line project that is coming from my shop all the way through the woods and going down to rental property where I have some friends. And water's going to a cistern and then to another pump to create pressure for them. And it won't lower my pressure too much because it'll be filling that cistern very slowly. I'm actually going to use a float valve for a commode tank in that cistern to control the elevation, you know, in there of water. I think that'll work good. So I've got 1,100 feet plus of digging to handle that. And I want this road finished. And both my house and my mother's old house need some painting and some maintenance. And I've got to cut some firewood. So I've got a lot of things that y'all can go with me to do this fall and this winter. Well, the sun's really pretty coming through the trees right here. And it makes these white oaks really pretty. White oak's my favorite tree. I know I jump from one subject to the next, and sometimes I repeat myself. That's just who I am. I jump around a lot. Anyway, that's gonna conclude my walk and talk for today. And you know, a lot of things that's on my mind. I've got to go to the funeral of a friend at 10 o'clock. Close friend. He was more than a friend. Recently passed away. And then I've got to go to the nursing home where the rehab is and see my mother. Make sure that everything's good with her. Tomorrow she'll be moved to hospice, and I feel like that'll be even better care. And I'll try to keep y'all in the loop as much as I can. And I really appreciate all my subscribers, and even those of you who are not subscribed but you watch anyway. That I appreciate it if you click the bell up there so you know when I put out new content, and when you're bored and you have time to watch it. I appreciate you watching it. But for now, Mr. Hilljack signing off, and I'll talk to y'all in a day or so. Take care of your loved ones.